So I'll start by saying that Rupert Murdoch's chart deserves a deeper dive, which I definitely will take up in the next while, since he has favored status as one of the main villains in our democracy as a result of the fact that he owns Fox News and other conservative media outlets, and his main interest is money and power. He doesn't care what is said as long as he's getting ratings and he's making money. However, it's interesting to note that he's chosen to speak out in a way that is sure to irritate the bejesus out of the Orange Menace. And he's saying that, basically Trump should stop looking to the past and focus on the future, although he's saying it to the Republican Party, but same thing. And of course, Trump can't really do that because, first of all, it's not in his political interest, it's not in his monetary interest, and he's too narcissistically inclined to do such a thing. But when we look at the astrology, what we see is that Murdoch is aligned with Trump, astrologically speaking, in that curious way that shows the potential for there to be a relationship that is mostly strained, but with some advantages, and mostly illustrating that principle that when there's a lot of dynamism between two charts, there's the possibility of collaboration with tension, and things work until they don't. In the case of Murdoch, you see that his Jupiter is on Trump's Mercury, which means he's going to help Trump, but Trump is also going to be profitable for him. After that, though, you don't see too much more between their charts that isn't strained. Especially, you notice Murdoch's Mars-Saturn opposition lined up along the axis in Trump's chart that catches his Saturn-Venus from the 6th to 12th. Saturn in Trump's 6th and Mars near Trump's Venus-Saturn conjunction. This is pretty harsh stuff, and where it becomes really obvious that Murdoch probably doesn't like this guy at all, and I'm not surprised that reports say he called him an effing idiot. Murdoch's Sun at 20 degrees Pisces and square to Trump's Sun and Moon from the 8th sign. This is classic astrological alignment where when the time comes, these people become enemies as opposed to friends. And so this to me isn't good for Trump at all. Now, knowing Trump, he's more likely than not to fire back. But you don't want Murdoch against you. You just don't. He's too powerful a figure. On the other hand, as some will say, and it's absolutely true, Murdoch is interested in money and power. That's it. So, if it turns out that Trump becomes successful again, I am sure that he would have Fox News carry the banner again. And even having said this, I doubt that he's going to tell Carlson and Ingraham to stop talking nonsense, or Sean Hannity. Probably not, because Fox News profits from that. But there may be something going on too, because one thing you see about Murdoch's chart is Saturn is on his Venus. Has been for some time. It made a stationary conjunction over that Venus. And Venus is in the second sign. That's the place of money in the chart. So one thing to say, this guy is, multi-millionaire, probably billionaire, he's got loads of money, but the reason he does is he's ultra focused on money, and he probably has worries about all these lawsuits that are floating around and the possibility of losing a lot of money. this is what happens when Saturn goes to your second house. There's a tendency to pay more attention to money and figure out ways to conserve it. And so that may be involved. And if so, then Murdoch's complaint or Murdoch's statement is a lot more serious. So, bottom line, he himself, Murdoch that is, will have issues to deal with by next year, since transiting Pluto is going to be opposing his Mars. He's no spring chicken. I believe he's 90. The older you are, the more that challenging planetary cycles can become more of a problem, to which we will add that he has his moon at 24 degrees Sagittarius, which means Neptune is going to be squaring it next year. And that one is another potentially very tricky aspect, because the moon is in the 12th sign, which therefore ties it to health. And you don't want big planetary cycles challenging your health areas, you could say ever, but definitely when you're this age. So he will be facing those aspects himself, but I think in the context of this video, and more to the point, this to me is probably one of those things that we're going to see more and more of as the weeks and months pass, in line with what is happening to Trump's chart, which is in a declining, downtrending mode. As Jupiter gets out of Aquarius, the moment it's at 24 plus degrees, it's still within range of trining the Sun. Very soon it's going to be opposing Mars, and then the Ascendant, and they'll go into Pisces, which is great for Murdoch because he's a Pisces, but it's not good for Trump at all, because Pisces is his 8th sign, squares both ends of his planets, and so you're going to see a pretty noticeable decline in Trump's fortunes as we go into 2022.